This one here is called Zuckerberg is an Atheist Muslim. Let's just say, what if Jesus was to return? What if Jesus was to return and we all see Jesus is real, right? Then what do you do, Mark Zuckerberg? What do? Do you say, I'm going to go stand with the Muslims still. I'm going to go stand with the Muslims.
I write this because I want to prepare you spiritually, mentally, and emotionally for the big changes coming. Because they are coming. Some of you have already seen the writing on the wall as you have left your own religion, or have watched others do it too. This is not an evil activity of taking religion away. This is actually a natural progression of the human consciousness and spirit. We are all doing this at a very deep subconscious level. The truth is, the human being was never designed to be apart from one another for too long, because we ultimately are one and we are coming back to each other again in this lifetime, for all the souls alive to experience and the new generation to reap the full benefits of true peace on earth as the new earth. Over thousands of years, religion has driven a wedge between one another of different faiths. For some rare churches that teach the universal idea, they draw others together. But this is very rare in the world, and the human spirit is yearning for this division to end. There are many blind to this as they keep to their faiths as a narrow subjective experience, judging others of different faiths, which hell others will enter, and which heaven they will enter in. I have observed it all. I am a true witness of seeing Muslims say Christians worship a false god. I have heard Christians say Muslims are going to hell. I have seen so many blame the actual religion of Judaism for the problems in the world, when the real issues stem from politics. I have seen the Vatican and their mischief of saying they are the middleman between us and God. I have seen the child abuse cases that the church tried to cover up. I have seen pagans be persecuted and accused of being one with the devil without even knowing them as a person, but only judging them by a mere label. There is massive confusion and chaos. People don't deepen their understanding of one another's religion. They have had many years, but they have not shared one another's books, not the mass majority, or just tried to search for the common denominator inside of them. There is a lack of education of life skills of how to get along with one another. Energetically, the fading of religion is actually a coming together again finally. The story of unity to division to unity once again follows the timeline of Pangea, a time when all land was together as one. When the world was divided into different land masses, this started the division process where the collective mind would experience itself as the many on Earth. So people, as consciousness itself in a physical body, started to live in their areas of choice, and as civilizations grew, so did law and a sense of order. Religion was supposed to be one idea of spirituality that is undefined, yet it was divided into many differing ideas over time. This division of ideas of who is God or what is godly and what is not started to push people further from one another. We cannot help it. When we are not agreed with, it can drive a wedge between us and the other person mentally. We start to think they will never understand me, or they are wrong and I am right about God. Your mind starts to disconnect from the other person as a form of self-defense. Many of you have probably turned this video off by now. Your thoughts are not received with connection, so you feel disconnect. And this disconnection is what slowly causes the evil in the world that stems from religion. Believe me, As a very spiritual being, I used to believe that all religion could exist at the same time, and the love and the tolerance would grow to allow a world of so many different ideas flourish. But this is simply not true. It is not logical. The numbers don't add up. You cannot take 100 religions and come together to equal back to one, with all different books, systems of rituals and rites, traditions and personal interpretations, and subjective experiences within those religions. The system of division is the earth religions right now, and there is nothing to do except surrender and accept the truth. Things have gotten out of control, and it has impeded on the growth of the whole collective. While at one time in history the joys of division were experienced, as people grew to learn more about each other's cultures when they met them for the first time. There is an amazing story of a Christian king helping the Muslims gain protection from the pagan Arabs who were coming after the new theists. There are some beautiful moments of Jerusalem being a place where Christians, Jews, and Muslims got along for the most part. Do they still think each other as wrong? Of course, but it is put to the back of their mind as they were living in this area, and still peace can be seen there today if one looks closely. But it is getting more and more difficult because of the terrible wars and the religions associated with the perpetrators. The only way religion could still stay in this world is if every single person decided to challenge themselves to see the truth in all the other religions beyond their own. This is extremely hard because it deals with pride. Pride is what keeps people from seeing eye to eye on things. But if everyone let go of their pride and saw each other's books with new interests and eyes, perhaps this could be a world of many religions. But logically, this cannot happen at this point. Many are sleeping still and don't see the unity they come from originally. So the only reasonable thing for the collective to do is to gradually have all souls wake up and leave their own religion and discover a sense of spirituality and self-realization that has no label to it. This sense of spirituality is a feeling of oneness and can be felt inside as a loving nature towards your fellow kind, and you don't really look at labels or see their spiritual beliefs as an obstacle to connect to them. This is the joining of the many minds into one. Humanity is becoming an advanced race. There is no doubt in that. Today's world allows for the most intense discussions of thought to take place at any time with any soul you meet. Sometimes they will even tell you a secret you forgot many universes ago, or you will recognize the divine light inside shining out. Because of this natural joining of the minds, then all sects that divide minds are naturally fading away as a product of awakening and not holding separation in the ego so strongly any longer. The fading of many different religions that cannot get along any longer is a natural progression of unity when the collective calls for it subconsciously. When you have someone coming into places of worship and shooting people, you know it is time. When you see comments online so cruel and mean towards one another of different faiths that they say they want to kill each other, you know it is time in your heart. When you see new souls for the new generation choosing to break away from their parents' strict religious upbringing, you know it is time. When people lose their common sense to stick to old traditions and harmful religious laws and harm others in the process, you know it is time to unite. So, how to prepare for this spiritually? Understand it is a natural process of growth and unity. If it helps you, it is what God has always wanted in the books, for people to live in peace with one another. Mourn the beauty that religion did teach at one time to be organized in sections of different beliefs, and all you learned. Let go with love. It may even be a good idea to see it as an angelic call in your heart to drop the ego facade and embrace others different than you by merging your mind with them. I think a lovely goodbye to your church or faction in a private way could give your heart that experience of closure. You were not wrong, those religious. You were doing what was supposed to be in the collective for a long period of time, division and learning of differences. Now is a new age, a new phase of the collective, and it can be expressed with sacred geometry, showing all pieces folding back into the center. This is how our minds are. We are joined together no matter if a person wants to deny it or not. Too many of us have seen the lights and geometric lines beyond this world, the light source that connects us all, like synapses networking in the brain, or a root system under the soil of a forest of trees. So how will religion be taken away in a slow fading? It will happen through the people's choices to do so. Already church numbers are declining rapidly. Mosques are still high, but this is a time of war for against their people. So in the Middle East, all they have is prayer as a form of hope. Atheists and agnostics will become more vocal on social media. They will not let up from this. They are loving people who truly want to see the division gone. They do it through harshness or softness, but it all comes from the desire to unite, after seeing so much evil in the way people treat one another of different belief systems than them. I envision it as a slow progression towards closing down buildings of worship or transforming them into different centers of education and growth. There may become laws to outlaw religion, but I don't see it that way. It is happening very naturally and on its own. There will be fights and nasty things said, but if a person is really honest and open with themselves, they will be ready for it, because the soul yearns for union with other souls. Religion doesn't allow that in a world full of too many now. What next after religion is gone? A bit of clumsy, newborn steps into a new unity will happen. People will not be able to divide themselves any longer. So they may find there are spiritual or philosophy centers to go to for deeper thoughts and contemplations. These buildings can be erected in nature in the honor of mankind, letting go of the ego and embracing a greater consciousness together. There could be some hard times and tears if you were really connected to your image of God in your head, as a father or a mother or Jesus floating in space, though you were never supposed to have an image of God as a commandment. There will be a grieving time for humanity, and that should be accepted as okay and natural. But I can promise you that humanity's future will develop into a galactic civilization of the fifth dimension Earth. People will stumble out of the darkness of hate and ignorance of one another. New friendships will open doors you didn't think could happen because they believed in a different image of God than you. Relationships won't be so challenged between spouses and partners as their image of God will fade away and will be replaced with a newfound appreciation for the beauty of unity and oneness of the cosmos. Money will not go towards multi-billion-dollar industries of religion, and instead start to feed the poor and help rebuild some of the most terrible living conditions. The theologists and all religious teachers and leaders will still be needed, as they will help become the working hands of this change. If they truly are a loving person that wanted to truly help others ascend to heaven, they will embrace this change too. Many will when the time is right, and they hear the call inside of them. Also, when the majority of the people become atheists or non-religious, there will be a slow forcing of them out of office, done by the powers of social media and passing ideas into government. Some people may think they can still worship at home on their own. And while that may be true, you may discover no need to as your mind awakens to what you are and what prayers really are. It will be like this. When people awaken, the spirit or essence they pray to will become more present in a world with unity and peace spread far and wide. So the need to remotely ask for guidance will not be needed any longer. Everything you ever need will be all around you, as love is abound, and people are finally nice to one another and not causing harm. You will sense the spiritual energy in nature all around, as well as in other people. So you won't need to call up to the sky in a prayer. You will already have everything you wanted right there, including courage to get through the hardest times. When the mind awakens, anything can be achieved through the great confidence and strength of the self. So what will the new spiritual focus be if there is no more religions? A species often has to have a focus of intent, or they lose a sense of purpose within. So the new focus will not be on the thousands of different ways God can be understood, but on a new focus of creation. Perhaps on these new community buildings that are a place of contemplation and peace for people, there will be a symbol of the ever-expanding consciousness and mind. I would love to say a spiral of some sort as a statue, perhaps a glowing ball of shimmering crystal, though that may not capture everyone's style. The point is that it will be a symbol of our consciousness and where it is going together, not a graven image of a god or goddess. It will be a joint decision to accept a greater collective mind we belong to and experience our lives in honor of never harming the whole. Mistakes happen and learning is always apparent on all levels of consciousness, so there will be room to grow. But spiritual ignorance will be gone, and it will be felt deep within and will be replaced with a deeper love for all. My final words on this is to remain calm and have courage to face something new and exciting for humanity. You are going to make a lot more friends and love a lot more people and see and experience the light shining through others without division of religion in the way, which causes judgment, which ultimately gets in the way of loving. You will focus on what the other person can create, the funny things they say, the crazy life stories they have, and the beauty of creation they are. You will stop thinking that they are going to hell and you are going to heaven, and you will start to find ways of creating heaven on earth together.